One of my concerns is how little notice has been given to consumers about the removal of AM radios in vehicles. Some companies claim to have announced the phase out of AM radios, but we've also heard reports that consumers are not aware that their new car doesn't have AM radio until after they've left the auto lot. In fact, the dealership in my district even told me that they had no idea about the change. And I also want to say thanks to Ford for its change of saying that AM radio will be put back in their vehicles and also being able to be downloaded in vehicles that are already off the line or have been sold to consumers. Mr. Schmidt, excuse me, should vehicle manufacturers be responsible to alert consumers when AM radio, a critical safety function of the vehicle, is not included in the model before it's purchased?
Can you repeat that a little louder? I
Right.
did have a hard time.
Should vehicle manufacturers be responsible to alert consumers when AM radio, a critical safety function in the vehicle, is not included in that model before it's purchased?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I cannot comment on individual what manufacturers can do, but I can certainly reinforce the fact that our members view that there are more options for delivering content and alerts now in vehicles than there ever were, and that we are committed to providing these alerts free of charge to our customers through those vehicles.
Thank you. Mr. Chapman, how do you think the removal of AM radios from cars will lessen the reach and local impact of your broadcast channel?
Chairman Latta, thank you for that question. It will absolutely impact our reach in a significant way. Most of the radio listening is done in the car. This is a business concern for many of our businesses in, say, Delphus. We have people that were the primary source of advertising for them, so they come to us to move their products. So there's obviously a business reason for us, but there's a business reason for the community. And in addition to that, if AM radio is not in cars, it's the primary point that begins the alert system, so it's a safety issue too. People won't be able to hear the alerts the way the EAS system is set up.
I know it's a little bit early for me for everything to be noticed out there with the change, but have you noticed a change in listenership right now in your station or stations?
So Chairman Latta, at this point, it's very early in the process. We have not seen changes, but I can tell you it will be significant because the radio is the primary entry point for people listening to it. And that's where people consume most of the radio. And so if it's not in the car, it would be a significant issue for people hearing alerts or hearing news from local businesses.
Well, let me follow up. We hear from many auto manufacturers about how streaming AM radio is the future and there will no longer be a need for an analog or HD AM radio. What are your thoughts on that characterization?
So, for example, all of the Wolf Boom stations stream. But I can also tell you that streaming is part of our future, but it's not all of our future. As consumers listen to the stream, they might be hearing in an area that is far off. And so if they're hearing that stream, they're not getting EAS alerts for the area that are important, that is the area of where they're actually residing at the time. And so one of our concerns, if it's only streaming, we are still running outside of the structure of the EAS system. EAS works with AM radio because AM radio can work in times where the power has gone away. AM radio can work in times of disaster, whether they are hurricanes or tornadoes. And if a station is streaming, it is delivered over the internet, and which is dependent on the power grid and also other factors. When cell networks go down, this is all part of streaming. So it is not a substitute for what we have, which is our primary delivery system.
Well, thank you. Lieutenant Colonel, let me ask in my last 25 seconds here, when you do your planning, because years ago when I was a county commissioner with our emergency management, we always have planning sessions. Do you plan for if the internet goes down, what happens then in your communications? I'm sorry, you got about 12 seconds left.
Absolutely, sir. We had to plan for every contingency because Murphy's Law is governing much of our business, and failure of those networks is anticipated.